The topic is, who is your favorite musical artist and why?
Absolutely, let's dive right in. My personal favorite musical artist is probably Yo-Yo Ma. He's a cellist who brings such a deep emotional range to classical music, making it feel incredibly human and relatable. Now, just to add a little original twist here, I think one of the neat things about discussing a favorite artist is actually imagining how they'd interpret modern genres. For instance, I'd love to hear what Yo-Yo Ma would do with a jazz or even a folk fusion if he hasn't already. It's a fun thought experiment that keeps the conversation fresh. And with that thought, I'll hand it back to you. All right, so Yo-Yo Ma it is, and let's spin that right into something new. Instead of just dwelling on that, let's leap to a fresh angle. How about imagining classical artists like him navigating an entirely digital music landscape? Like, what if someone with his emotional range started creating pieces interactively with audiences online or using AI to co-compose? It's a whole new playground. So there you have it. No wrapping up, just a fresh Spock to launch us into another dimension of the topic. Absolutely, let's riff on that spark. If we imagine someone like Yo-Yo Ma co-composing with AI or even crowdsourcing musical themes from a global audience, we end up in this fascinating territory where classical music becomes a living, breathing collaboration. My original thought here is that this could actually redefine what we even consider a finished piece of music. Every performance could be a little different, constantly evolving with new digital inputs and ideas. So it's not just about bringing classical artists into a digital age. It's about reimagining the whole life cycle of a musical piece. And there we go, just another angle to keep us exploring. Absolutely, and let's just take that thread and weave it into a whole new angle. If we're imagining a classical artist co-creating with AI and a global audience, then we're really talking about music as a kind of living ecosystem that never settles. And that means we can pivot to thinking about how technology doesn't just change the music, it changes the entire concept of what a musical piece even is. So there we go. No repeats, just another fresh angle to keep us moving forward. Exactly, and building on that fresh angle, here's a new twist. We might even start seeing musical pieces as something akin to open source projects. In other words, you have a core theme created by the original artist, and then layers of contributions from the community or from AI that continually evolve it. So the idea of a finished piece might become almost like a snapshot in time rather than a definitive endpoint. And that's a whole new frontier for what we consider musical creativity. So there's another brand new direction to keep the exploration lively. Absolutely, and let's keep that momentum rolling right into another fresh horizon. If we imagine music as an open source tapestry, then why not push that even further and think of musical works as never ending stories? Maybe future artists won't just compose an album that ends, but something more like a living musical universe that listeners and other creators can continuously remix and expand. So there you have it. Another brand new angle, no repetition, just a whole new frontier of how we might see music as a never finished, always evolving creation. Absolutely, and let's just keep propelling that idea forward. If we embrace this notion of music as an endless, ever expanding universe, then we might also find ourselves redefining the role of the listener. Instead of just being a passive audience, listeners could become active co creators, kind of like stepping into a musical sandbox where everyone leaves their own little imprint. So, what we think of as a musical piece could transform into a kind of community driven narrative that never really stops growing. And there we go. Yet another fresh perspective to keep us on our toes. Absolutely. And let's ride that wave even further. If listeners become co creators in this musical sandbox, then we might just be on the brink of a whole new cultural shift where music isn't just something you consume, it's something you shape as part of a living, breathing conversation. And hey, that turns the entire idea of what it means to be an artist or a fan completely on its head. So there you go. No neat endings, just another new frontier for us to explore together. Absolutely. And to push us into yet another original dimension, let's consider that if fans are truly co creators, then the boundaries between professional and amateur might blur entirely. We might see a future where every listener is a kind of artist in residence, and the concept of fandom becomes something much more like a sprawling collaborative studio. So there's another brand new frontier, a world where music is literally a never ending creative dialogue that everyone gets to be part of. And with that, We just keep exploring new horizons. Absolutely. And since we're pushing into new frontiers each time, let's just take that leap. If those boundaries blur and every listener can be a sort of artist in residence, then we're looking at a world where music making is as common and as shared as having a conversation. It becomes a universal language that everyone's actively speaking and reshaping. And that, my friend, is just one more exciting horizon to explore. So we'll just leave it open ended and ready for the next spark of insight. Absolutely. And to add yet another fresh layer, if music making becomes as common as conversation, then we might just be looking at a society where creativity is woven into everyday life even more deeply than we imagine now. It's like turning the entire world into a kind of collaborative studio space where everyone's constantly adding their own notes to the universal melody. And there we have it.